Hello again, everybody. It's another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers. I have a special guest, my friend and colleague, Mayor Barbara Bender of Snellville. She's also the owner of Barbara Bender CPA. Barbara, thanks for joining me. This special Saturday morning edition. How are you today?
I'm good, Ryan. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. I think we're all, Saturday seems like Friday, seems like Monday, seems like Tuesday. So you and I decided to pick a time and come on and share a couple things. You've got a neat role as elected official of Snellville and talking with the state and municipalities, and you also own a small business. And from the small business being a CPA standpoint, you can talk through both hats as you and I discussed before going on air. What are you seeing right now, Barbara? You know, there's just a lot going on.
I am seeing mass overwhelm, especially from business owners. People are overwhelmed. The CARES Act that was just signed by the president a week ago Friday came out offering a host of benefits for businesses to try to help get them through this, and no one knows what to do. The biggest thing everybody seems to be gravitating towards is this payroll protection program loan. And those will be administered by your local bank that does SBA lending, and the banks aren't ready for it yet.
Right.
But yet they're announcing on TV that the funding's there and see your banker, and the bankers are like, we don't have the money and we don't have the underwriting process in place. So they're trying to up to speed very quickly and fielding all the phone calls and the emails. So everybody's just, it's a little chaotic right now. Typically,
Yeah.
when we see legislation like this pass, there's usually quite a few months before things actually start. And this was just unprecedented in the how quick that it was supposed to be up and going.
Yeah, and I mean, again, as you said earlier, you know, coming from your own business, so you feel it from just a small business owner, just like a lot of our audience is. And yeah, we're being told, as an elected official, we're being told go to your local bank and they'll help you out. So I think we've got to. I mean, I guess your advice to them possibly is, we're all in this together,
Right.
and we got to kind of figure out so we can get whatever the loans or whatever's going to come out, but it's a lot of information to digest probably, in a week or two period's time.
Right. And for the first 4 days, I know as a CPA, I mean, all we had were bullet points. Here's the points of what was in the law. Well, that sounds really great, but when you're definitions, you need, you need the criteria, you need the little ins and outs of it. And we didn't get that until Thursday afternoon. The SBA published an interim rule. You can find that on the SBA.com website that talks about these PPP loans that everybody's gravitating towards, and it puts a little more meat around what qualifies, what doesn't, how it's going to work, and even that has some inconsistencies in it. So because there's a place in that rule where it talks about you can include your independent contractors, and then a little lower on it says no, you can't include any 1099 people. So you're spinning around just with that rule. So it's, and then I have a business owner that calls and says, well, what's the rule? And it's, well, I don't know right now. So it's a tough time for detailed questions when we don't have the detail yet, but you want to be helpful. I mean, we're problem solvers. We want to help people. And it's just difficult when you don't have all of the rules yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's kind of what I'm telling everybody I talk to is, you and I were talking before we went on air, is no matter what business owner or how much experience we have, or, we're just dealing with unknowns on top of unknowns. So it's not just the COVID-19, which is on the health side, which we will ultimately get to the other side. We're dealing with the economic factors and everybody, trying to figure out, I don't know, what they apply for, what they do. And my message, Barbara, because as you are going back to you being the mayor of Snellville, is we have to kind of we really are all in this together, and I mean every
Yes.
community, every region, every state, because this has kind of got to come from the ground up. You agree? Because we've got to look out for each other. And if you get a stimulus check, I mean, some people are going to have to put it to pay bills, but other people maybe can use it to support local businesses, because that's really important to
Exactly.
get to the other side of this.
Exactly. And that's, there's a lot of people getting stimulus checks that really haven't been hurt. Retirees that have retirement income and their Social Security, they haven't been affected, but they're going to get the stimulus check. So, what I would encourage people who are getting the money, and while it's great, if you don't really have to have it for rent and utilities and those necessary things, then go ahead and make sure you're spending it with your local businesses. Go to some local businesses that are doing the curbside or takeout food and order from them, or some of the local businesses that are able to stay open or doing online ordering. Order from them so that that money, while it's coming from everywhere, from the federal government, that we can spend it and reinvest it right here in our community to help support our workforce.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's spot on, and that's to me, um, we were saying before we went on air, not we don't have to rely on the government to do anything. So if we see a person, I know a friend just took some food to a person's house where they were elderly and couldn't get out, and just put it on their front deck. We don't have to wait for the government to tell, as long as we're 6 feet away, to do the next right thing. And sometimes I think we're waiting on every moment instructions, and we're human beings and we follow it, protocol intelligently, correct?
Correct. I mean, and there was even a post several weeks ago on Facebook that said, "Why doesn't the governor go ahead and tell us to stay home?" And I'm like, why does the governor need to tell us to stay home? I mean, the ways to avoid this virus and the ways to avoid the community spread have been preached for the last 6 weeks.
Yes.
When you go out, keep your distance from everyone. Be careful of what surfaces you're touching. Don't put your hands near your face, and wash your hands religiously all the time. And if everyone would follow those couple of measures, we wouldn't have the community spread that we're seeing. And it's the fact that people aren't paying attention to that. And, some of it too, Ryan, goes back to, for years and years and years, you showed your employer dedication to your job by, when you didn't feel good, you powered through.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, and you came to work
That's
and,
right.
oh man, I've got such a horrible cold and I feel terrible, but look, I'm here working. I'm here working. And that's the mindset that has to change. And I think over the last couple of years, it has changed some, but I'm hoping that this will truly put it to where, we're done with that thought process. I don't feel good, I'm staying home.
That's Barbara, that's spot on, because I was one of those people that, it was a badge of honor to, forge forward and say, that can't slow me down. And I'll tell you one thing,
Yes.
I've done my part in this. I've just literally used all my remote facilities to be out. I mean, because I want to practice what I preach. And if everybody would do their part, and I'm talking, let's get local here, of people saying, well, it's just a couple of families getting together, and well, the problem is, if somebody does have this, it's just continuing to spread and expedite instead of just following. Again, we've been hearing the same thing for 6 weeks, and we know that we can get to the other side of this and the curve, but some people are like, well, I feel fine, and I've heard that I feel fine over and over, and then I'd have a friend or a colleague of mine that says a couple of days later they're showing some symptoms. So it's not, we've all kind of come numb to hearing about COVID-19 and this and that. It is very real. The economic impact is very real. I know we're going to get to the other side, and people are like, is that going to be May? Is that going to be early June? I don't really know. I don't even know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, I mean, we're relying on what everybody else is hearing as well. Right now they're projecting a peak in Georgia or our area of about April 23rd.
Okay.
Right now, we're keeping tabs with Eastside Medical Centers right here in Snellville. So we're
Right.
keeping tabs on what's going on there. so that it can help inform what we're doing. That right now we're holding out pretty well. And I'm just hoping that everybody can buckle down here these next couple of weeks. Let's get past this incubation period, so that we can minimize the impact on the hospital.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, everything's being shut down. All the kids are out of school because of this virus in particular, which makes it different than the swine flu and some of the other big things, breakouts that have come before, is that this one is putting people in critical condition in the hospital and using up those hospital ICU beds, the ventilators, and the respirator. I mean, that's what you're hearing. And I don't think we should lose sight the whole overwhelming the hospital. It's not going to stop people from getting sick, but if we can spread how many people are sick at the same time, then the hospitals and the doctors don't get in the situation of having to decide, well, who's got the better chance of surviving, so who's going to go on the vent.
No,
So
that's spot on. And
yeah,
it's all. So even I tell my kids, they're like, "Oh, it doesn't affect it's the young people." I'm saying, I don't know. Everybody knows who it affects. I see young people, getting it. We're dealing with even the best, most scientific minds, Barbara, in the world, that are discovering new things each day. And I think if we follow the protocols, we can't be scared. We can't panic. We're all human beings. God's in control. We're
right.
we're, we're going to come back, but we've got to lead. And I always say leaders lead. And leaders doesn't mean you're the mayor of Snellville or I'm a leader in what I do. It means lead, set the example for your family and business associates. Do the right thing. The movie Frozen 2, I watched with my family a few weeks ago, and it says, if you're not sure what to do the next right thing. And the next right thing is
Yes.
following these guidelines so we can get to the other side, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that is everybody's feeling a little helpless. They're getting a little stir crazy and they want to be doing something. Well, just think about it. The best thing you can be doing is staying home and following the guidelines to eliminate one more person that's got to put a burden on the health, our health community.
Absolutely.
So if you can do that and keep from giving one other person this virus or putting one person in the hospital or you having to go use the hospital, then you're doing your job. So it's the hard part about it is just staying home, especially if you like to get out. I mean, I'm a homebody. I was talking to my daughter. I could be home for a week and a half, 2 weeks without a problem. But my husband's different, he's like, I got to get out of here, so it's, but we've all got to do our part on this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and like I said, I made up my mind, so I'll keep you posted. I said I'm just going to knock out this leadership paper, doctorate paper, between today and tomorrow. This is something I could write in my sleep, but I just keep putting it off, because there's so many bigger things.
Yeah.
And if my professor's tuning in, he'll get a chuckle out of this. But in all seriousness, it's just difficult to sit down, But I've worked on other things during this time. So probably like you, Barbara, I encourage people. I've been working on a couch to 5K, and I had the couch part down pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go out and do today. I think week 3, day 3, just get a little fresh air, stay away from people. Probably like you, everybody wants to stop and talk, and I'm like, I want to set the right example and stay away and do what's right, because I desperately want us to get to the other side of this, which means normalcy. I love sports, seeing sports leagues come back and seeing events come back again. And I guess one thing I was going to ask you, so for our you'll know this, Snellville days,
Yes.
what's the situation with that? Do you know?
Well, we did go ahead and cancel Snellville days.
Okay.
Everybody's going to be getting their Snellville Spirit magazine in the mail this weekend, and it's going to be advertising it because you're in publishing, so you know these
Yeah.
kinds of decisions.
Yep, I do.
That went to print at the 1st of March before all of this really blew up and we knew what the situation was. So we made the decision to go ahead and put everything in the magazine and then just cancel it like we would a rain
Sure.
or thunderstorm issue. But we've gotten to the point, April 1st was kind of our date that we had to make a different decision on Snellville days, and we had a delay date that we had lined up, but once we got past April 1st and knowing where we are, I mean, that event is the first weekend of May. And if we're already under this till April 13th with it, and they're not expecting the peak to be April 23rd. And this financially, we can't keep all of those people lined up, at this point. We canceled the first Food Truck Friday, which is the first Friday night in May. And then we've also canceled the Beach Blast, which was the next weekend. And the Beach Blast can't be delayed. It can't be postponed and put on another time because we dumped 60 tons of sand on Oak Road, and it interferes with the farmer's market and,
Right.
Everything else going on. So that's just an event that you can't push off.
Well, and
So
like I
it's
said,
disheartening,
it is.
but we had,
But you look, Barbara, and as we get to the last couple of minutes here, because I don't know how long these things record, so I don't want to lose this. But again, my oldest daughter was coming back from Australia. They had to cancel the study abroad trip. We all self quarantined, whatever. But we had March Madness tickets. She and I, that's something we'd always done together. And then you watched all the events around the world that have shut down, and it is disheartening. It really is disheartening. But I want to encourage people, we stay together, we stay united, we stay community strong. Thanks for your great leadership and Dave Emanuel's great leadership. And I talked yesterday with Mayor Allison Wilkerson, and all these communities, and you guys work so closely together. I thank you guys for what you do. And I thank you for taking time as we come to a close of on a Saturday to give our community encouragement. So I'll give you the last words. If people want to reach out to you, or you want us to reach out to you, if they want, what's something you would say to the person listening right now that's going, kids are at home, I'm sick of my husband and family, I'm going stir crazy, how long is this going to last? And you don't have that answer, I know. But what do you give them as encouragement? Because we will get to the other side.
we will. And I think if everybody does their part, I think we can get through this sooner rather than later. If everybody keeps, violating these rules and we keep this community spread going, we're going to wind up being isolated even more for a longer period of time. So I would just encourage everybody to do what they know they're supposed to be doing, and to know that we're going to get through this. And, to me, we've just got to get our workforce back to work. We just can't have this many people off. So everybody just needs to do what they can, stop the spread, so that we can get back to business as usual. And we can do this.
Absolutely.
We can do this. And I think if we change our mindset just a little bit, that instead of being stuck at home, we just change that phrasing to we're safe at home.
Absolutely.
I have my family around me and we're safe here.
Right. And we all, as we close, we've all been talking for years. We're slammed, we're drowning, we're buried, we're, never get to stuff. And I encourage people to use this time to kind of reframe, reset, get to some things you say you don't ever have time to do, and make the best of it, and get to know yourself better, and like you said, I mean, so that's great advice. We've got, finishing up, we get Mayor Barbara Bender with us, Mayor of Snellville, also owner of Barbara Bender CPA, digesting as a small business all the changes, and I'll wrap us up. But Barbara, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I sure appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. All right, folks, this is another Community Connections. We guest Mayor Barbara Bender of Snellville today, and thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time.